What is happening, Internet? K-Wing here, and today we're talking about Henry Cavill's Superman and his triumphant return, and more of a joyful, hopeful Superman coming back to the DC studios now? DC Films? Whatever they're going to call it. It's going to be really interesting. So, no Gotham Knights this morning. If you guys are looking forward to that, Gotham Knights will continue around 4 o'clock, and then co-op tonight around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time over on K-Wing's Let's Plays. But today, there's been a lot of Superman news over the past, I would say, week. If you guys didn't know this or not, Henry Cavill shows up at the end of Black Adam, which is not really a spoiler because now even Henry Cavill is helping promote the movie. The film is doing okay at the box office. I mean, it had a budget of around 150 to 200 million, I believe. And currently worldwide, it's probably close to about 300 million, I think, which I guess isn't bad. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Warner Brothers was expecting a lot more than that, but it is The Rock's first outing as a superhero, so, I mean, it could still do better. I don't really know. But Black Panther's going to be coming out soon, so that's probably going to squash all hopes of that. But the most important thing is Henry Cavill's Superman is coming back, and it's not just in cameos in Black Adam and The Flash. So Henry Cavill took to his Instagram to officially announce his return, which got some people, mainly Grace, a little annoyed, saying how, he's just trying to say that he's doing cameos and he's back as doing cameos. There's nothing really major that's going to happen with that. And Henry Cavill, not missing a beat, showed up and did a exclusive interview talking about how hopeful he is about his return, as well as what his plans are for the next Superman movie. So while there is no director that has been selected just yet for Man of Steel 2 or whatever the new Superman movie is going to be, we have a rough idea of what Henry Cavill would like to see in his Superman picture. He has said that Superman has been a character that has been portrayed by him in the movies as kind of a very grim, sad character that was learning how to become Superman. And he says the next time we're going to see Superman in his new solo movie is going to be a joyous, more hopeful Superman. He's also back wearing the blue and red, which will continue into his new movie, so he will not be wearing the black regeneration suit, which makes sense. And also it seems that both Henry and Zack Snyder are fine with this. Zack Snyder showed up to congratulate Henry Cavill via satellite from the Rebel Moon set, saying how he looks forward to working with Henry again in the future, and that Henry Cavill is basically everyone's Superman, including his. So this got the Snyder fans up in an uproar because they don't like the idea that now even Zack Snyder is saying he's okay with Superman wearing a blue suit when he's supposed to be wearing a black suit. A lot of this is really silly, but it just goes to show that even the Zack Snyder fandom, which they say they're fans of Zack Snyder's Justice League, even when Zack says something that is polar opposite of what the fandom is saying, the fandom still finds a way of just being weird. So the fandom got really upset when the new DC Studios head was elected, and that was James Gunn, along with some other guy who I'm not really familiar with, so I'm just going to speak about James Gunn if you don't mind. So James Gunn is, of course, the guy who came in to do the Suicide Squad 2, which became known as the Suicide Squad movie. And the movie was well received, but it wasn't a hit at the box office. In fact, it was kind of a dud. However, that movie went on to spawn a very successful TV series called Peacemaker, starring John Cena as, Peacemaker. And that show even brought in a cameo of the Justice League at the end of the series finale, or season finale. Season 2 will be coming next couple years, most likely. And the Justice League cameo was actually swatted down by Toby Emmerich and Walter Hamada because they didn't want the Justice League to show up. Because their plan was actually to erase the current Justice League and have Supergirl, Batgirl, Shazam, Aquaman, Flash, and a few others be the new Justice League. So Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg, all those characters had to be yeeted, and only a few could remain. They also did not like the idea that Superman was in the picture as a silhouette because then they couldn't tell people where the film took place in the current timeline. And of course, James Gunn, being the rebel that he is and really loving the fans, he threw in the Justice League Easter egg to say, yes, Peacemaker takes place in the Justice League universe. He didn't say which one, But he did that on purpose, and I think that was actually a pretty bold thing that he did, because he kind of kept the flame burning for hope for not necessarily Zack Snyder's Justice League, but Henry Cavill's Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and some other things. Although Warner Brothers actually removed both Cyborg and Batman from the shot, so you only saw silhouettes of Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman, and Flash, and both Aquaman and Flash had, a little bit of lines to go in the show. But of course, they couldn't show Henry Cavill. Now, The Rock, when he did his Superman cameo, originally it was going to be a silhouetted thing too, where Superman shows up, but you don't see who it is. It wasn't until after, I would say, New York Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con, after The Rock was booed, that they went to London and they filmed the cameo for Superman, going over the head of Walter Hamada, and then talking with some new Warner Discovery people and getting the go-ahead to take one day to film the scene and have Henry once again reprise his role as Superman, which would not just be a cameo. A lot of people outside of a few have been very adamant that this is a brand new Superman that's going to be coming out along with his movie, and Henry Cavill also confirmed that. So I think everybody needs to stop just being like, well, he's only trying to hype up 2 cameos so he can get a new contract. Nope. He didn't appear to do interviews to tell people he was back as Superman, because Henry Cavill, like his character Superman, is a man of integrity and honesty. So there's no reason for him to get in front of cameras and lie and beg for the part of Superman when he already had the part of Superman. Walter Hamada wanted to replace him with a black Superman and Supergirl, but Henry always had the cape ready to put back on whenever the time arose. And you can tell that the man is very excited to be back as Superman, and the future is very bright for Superman fans. As for Ben Affleck fans, we have no idea what's going on. There are new reports that Michael Keaton is still sticking around after The Flash. There's also reports that they filmed a new end screen that features Ben Affleck instead of Michael Keaton and Henry Cavill. So we don't really know what's going to happen until the Flash movie actually finally comes out. But currently, Ezra can't outrun legal trouble and may be facing up to 20 years in prison. So, yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that. So hopefully he won't go to jail and the Flash won't be scrapped. But even if the Flash is scrapped, we know that Aquaman is going to have Ben Affleck in it, as well as supposedly Michael Keaton might show up in it as well. Which I don't know how they're going to go about that, but, I'm interested to see. They also lowered Amber Heard's role in the movie, so that's always good. But the whole thing that I like about the whole Henry Cavill thing is James Gunn is committed to Superman. He said so in his announcement speech, being one of the co-heads of the new DC studios, and he starts on November 1st, so very, very soon. He's going to be doing a new role, from going to director to producer to now basically what, Jim Lee and Dan Didio were for DC Comics. He's now that for DC Studios, which details DC Films, DC Animation. I don't know if he's Jim Lee's boss now or not, but I think that also means that he's in charge of the video game division too, which is going to be great because, well, they really need some help, especially after the lackluster release of Gotham Knights. Although they will be patching the game, so who knows what is going to happen with that. Maybe the game will improve and more people will buy it over the holidays. I hope so, but the game had a lot of issues. Still, it's a new dawn for DC, and even though DC Comics is kind of in the gutter, it looks like DC Films, DC Animation, and possibly DC's video game division has a very bright future ahead of them. Now, the big difference going forward with the whole James Gunn thing is this is not a 10-year plan for DC, and I think this is actually smart. James Gunn's contract as the new DC Studios head is only for 4 years, so that means if they're going to use Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, they're going to need to shoot a lot of DC films back-to-back so that these characters can show up in films over the next 8 years. Because if they do the whole 10-year plan, Ben Affleck is going to be wicked old, Superman will be close to 50, and Gal Gadot will also be 50. And, I don't know how people would really want to see, older heroes like that. I wouldn't mind, as long as they can play the roles and, we get to see a lot of these characters, then I'm good. I'm just very excited for the future of DC Films, and I just couldn't wait to share my thoughts with you guys. I kind of combined the James Gunn thing and the Superman thing, but Yeah, that's what it is. Now I want to hear from all of you guys and gals. How do you feel about Henry Cavill being hopeful about his return as Superman? And are you thrilled for the idea of Man of Steel 2? Personally, I think Man of Steel 2 should include Supergirl, and they should battle either Brainiac or maybe Metallo or some type of like intense threat, but not something that's going to lead to Superman getting killed again. I don't think they need to kill Superman off anytime soon. And Henry Cavill Superman needs a film that is going to be inspiring, going to be hopeful, and going to do justice to the Superman character. Because we've already seen Superman as angsty. We've seen Superman become evil thanks to the anti-life equation, which was teased in. And we also got to see Superman resurrected and becoming a much happier person now that he has a second stab at life. I would like them to do something with Darkseid in the future, but that can be kind of the end game for the DC films. That could lead into a Crisis on Infinite Earths or a Final Crisis movie. And, yeah, for now, the focus needs to be on Superman, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot, and get a proper Trinity or a World's Finest movie. I'd be down for either. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are just here for Gotham Knights will continue at 4 o'clock today, and then again at 8:30 p.m. over on K-Wings Let's Plays. I will be cutting down on Gotham Knights coverage because I can't keep spending 2 to 3 hours uploading the videos early in the morning and then posting them with lower reception every day. So I'm just going to go back to 4 o'clock uploads for Gotham Knights going forward, and that way we can prolong the life of the game because the game is kind of dying on YouTube anyway. And, you know, I have so many videos left to post. So once the game wraps up, we'll be doing lore videos on Wednesdays, starting with the Tim Drake story and going all the way until his Red Robin years in 2009. We'll be stopping before Flashpoint, though. I do not recognize the current Tim Drake or DC Rebirth Tim Drake as my Tim Drake, so that's what it is. All right, guys, God bless, happy gaming. Thanks so much for listening. Keep it locked here for more news on DC Studios-related stuff and everything for The Dark Knight, including TV, movies, video games, and occasionally comics. Later, Gothamites.